the son disciple who turned out badly. The next stage in Jesus' career, of which we find an echo in the Talmud, is his appearance as a quite grown-up son or disciple. To be sure, the Talmud does not convey any information about Jesus growing up in his family or his youth, let alone about his education and his teachers. It just mentions him again in passing as an example of a son or a disciple who turns out badly, the nightmare of any decent parent. Interestingly enough, the New Testament too does not tell us much about Jesus' childhood. Matthew moves directly from his return from Egypt with his parents after he goes dead to his baptism as an adult in the Jordan by John the Baptist, his temptation in the desert, and then to his first public appearance in Galilee. Mark starts with his baptism, temptation, and first public appearance, and John opens his narrative with John the Baptist's testimony about Jesus' mission and his first disciples. It is only Luke who relates the story about the 12-year-old Jesus who, instead of joining his parents on their trip back from Jerusalem to Nazareth, prefers to stay calmly in the temple among the teachers in order to listen to them and to ask them questions. Luke chapter 2 verse 46. The Talmudic story about the weak son disciple is preserved in two different contexts. The first in Bavli Standard 103a presents itself as an exegesis of Psalm chapter 91 verse 10. Herzog said in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Abba, what is meant by the verse, no evil ra'a will befall you, no plague negar will approach your tent. Psalm chapter 51 verse 10. No evil ra'a will befall you, ibid, that the evil inclination yetzer hara shall have no power over you. No plague negar will approach your tent, ibid, that you will not find your wife a doubtful nida when you return from a journey. Another interpretation, no evil ra'a will befall you, ibid, that bad dreams and bad thoughts will not frighten you. No plague negar will approach your tent, that you will not have a son or a disciple who publicly spoils his food dish, Magdiya Tafsilo, like Jesus the Nazarene, Yesu HaNazri. This is a symmetrically structured exposition transmitted by the same Rav Hizda, the Babylonian Amora from the Academy of Surah, who played an important role in the discussion about Miriam's husband and lover, Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Abba. The authority he quotes is a Babylonian Amora of the second generation mid-30th century CE. Rav Hizda's first interpretation of the Psalm verse suggests that the evil refers to the evil inclination, most likely just an evil inclination, but specifically some sexual temptation and plague, to the dreaded situation in which a husband returns home, presumably after a long journey, only to find his wife in a state in which it is doubtful whether she may be menstruating and hence impure and unfit for intercourse or not. This condition, Rabbi Hizda assumes, is even cruel for the poor husband than if his wife is definitely menstruating, because he might be tempted to dismiss the doubt and have intercourse with her, although in fact she is menstruating and therefore forbidden. The second interpretation applies the evil in the Psalm verse to bad dreams, thoughts, and the plague to a son or disciple who publicly spoils his food. What kind of bad dreams, thoughts, a author has in mind is not spelled out, but the clearly sexual coloring of the first interpretation, evil inclination, often connected with sexual misconduct, and Nida suggests that he is not just referring to nightmares but more concretely to sexual dreams. It is highly likely, therefore, that the difficult and unusual phrase who probably spoils this food has also a sexual connotation. The literary meaning of the phrase is to cause burning to a dish, that is, to make a dish inedible by oversetting or overspicing it. This literal meaning can hardly be the misdeed of which the son disciple is accused. Rather, the Semitic structure of Rav thus exegesis actually requires that burning the dish has something to do with the son's disciple's sexual relationship to his wife. In other words, that some kind of sexual misconduct is at stake here. A. Evil sexual inclination plug, double menstrual status of the wife. B. Evil bad sexual dreams and thoughts plug, he does something to his wife. In order to elucidate the meaning of our strange father, let us look at some parallels. A similar phrase is used in a discussion between the houses of Firenze and regarding the question of the proper reason for a man to divorce his wife. According to the house of Shammai, a man should divorce his wife only when he has found her guilty of some unseemly conduct, whereas according to the house of Hillel, a man may have sufficient ground for divorce if he has spoiled his food. Hikdiha Tafsilo Emgit 9 Emgit chapter 9 40 chapter 9 verse 10. It doesn't seem very likely that the wife spoiling her husband's food simply refers to preparing some oversetted or overspiced dishes. The controversy between Hill and Shammai rests on a different understanding of the biblical proof text for the legal reasoning. If a man takes a wife and has intercourse with her, and it happens that she fails to please him because he finds some unseemly thing in her, he writes her a bill of divorcement, adds it to her, and sends her away from his house. Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse 1. What is translated here as some unseemly thing is in Hebrew Egot davar, literary nakedness of a thing, in the sense lewdness, whereas Shammai puts the emphasis of erwa, nakedness, in the sense, arguing that only a clear case of the wife's sexual misconduct deserves divorce. Hiller stresses the word davar thing, arguing that anything that may be related to indecency, even a mere offense, or probably just the rumor of an indiscretion, can be used by the husband as a reason for divorce. Hiller's thing in this context is clearly not just anything that the husband can present against his wife, like spoiling his dinner, but anything that has to do with fornication. This sexual context becomes even clearer if we take into consideration that the Hebrew word for the spoil this tafsir acquires in the Bavli also the meaning of intercourse. Thus, the time release of Rav Kahana, a Babylonian Amora of the second generation and student of Rav, who went to Palestine. Rav Kahana once went in and hid under Rav's bed. He heard him chatting with his wife and jogging and doing what he required, having intercourse with her. He, Rav Kahana, said to him, Rav, one would think that Abbas Mon had never received these people Saref Tafsila. He, Rav, said to him, Rav Kahana, Kahana, are you here? Get out here, get out because this is not what one is supposed to do. He, Rav Kahana, replied, this is a matter of Torah and is required to learn. Here the first two seem swallow the this undoubtedly refers to performing sexual intercourse. Accordingly, if a woman spills his hair, if a woman spoils his husband's dish, she does something that prohibits him from having intercourse with her, most likely some sexual misconduct that compromises her as well as his reputation. In the case of our son disabled, it is the man who spoils his dish, meaning that he does something that prohibits her from having intercourse with him. Again, presumably some sexual misconduct that compromises his as well as his reputation. The effect of his misconduct on the part of the son of the servant is intensified by the fact that he does so in public, making it possible for her to ignore him. Sin. Within this wider context, the message of rabbis thus exegesis of the psalm-verse seems to be: the worst plot is a sort of disciple who publicly leads a licentious life by which he compromises himself and his poor wife. It is hardly by coincidence that his interpretation comes from the same Rav Ifda who told us that Jesus' mother had a husband as well as a lover and that Jesus was the son of a lover. Now we learn this Jesus isn't any better than his mother, it's in his blood. He is so spoiled that he has become the proverbial son or disciple who is unfaithful to his wife and a disgrace to his parents or his teachers. This is quite an unexpected turn in Jesus' life that goes far beyond the New Testament narrative, unless one wants to follow the later identification of Mary Magdalene with the unknown immoral woman in Luke chapter 7, verse 36-50, who had Jesus' feet with her tears, wipes them with her hair, kisses them, and anoints them with myrrh. Chapter 7, verse 38. The Pharisees who observed this scene know her as a prostitute. Chapter 7, verse 39, and want to use this fact as proof that Jesus is no real prophet, as he claims, because he did not seem to know what kind of woman she was. But Jesus, seeing to their attentions, publicly forgives the woman her sins, and thus reveals that she did not know of her husband's reputation. The Talmud could again have inverted this New Testament story and insinuated that Jesus indeed knew her, but now in order to forgive her sins and to unmask the Pharisees, rather he knew her for what she really was, a prostitute, because he had an affair with her. Another and slightly different possible background for the Talmudic story could be the tradition preserved in some Gnostic texts about Mary Magdalene. This is a tradition that has even made it into recent fiction, namely that Jesus was indeed married and to no less a person than Mary Magdalene. The Gnostic library from Aramaic contains a Gospel of Mary Magdalene, presumably from the 2nd century CE, in which the jealous apostle Peter addresses her as someone whom Jesus loved more than the rest of women. The Gospel of Philip, second half of the 3rd century CE, calls her her companion and emphasizes that Jesus not only loved her more than all the disciples, but that he used to kiss her often on her. Unfortunately, the last word is missing, but it is highly probable that the word mouth must be added. Within the context of the Gnostic writings, it isn't very likely, however, that a plain conjugal relationship is at stake here. Rather, it seems that the companion koinos, a Greek loanword in the Coptic text, refers not to spouse in the technical sense, of the word, but to sister in the spiritual sense of Gnostic fellowship, as the kiss does not refer to a sexual relationship, but to a kiss of fellowship. Yet one can easily see how this reading of the New Testament narrative could be taught, not only in modern fiction, but already in the source used by the Talmud into tradition about Jesus being married to Mary Magdalene. Whether the weak son student Jesus was unfaithful to his spouse Mary Magdalene or has intercourse with her during the Nida, or whether the Talmud wants to imply that the marriage with Mary Magdalene as such was suspicious because she was a prostitute, or whether it wants to read its source creatively and to understand sister literally in insinuating some kind of incestuous relationship. There is quite a variety of nasty implications to choose from, whichever one wishes to adopt. The possibility that the Talmud might respond to a tradition that is preserved only in the Gnostic literature is in itself remarkable enough. The second context be 17 AV, in which the Talmud presents the story of the weak son disciple, is an exegesis of Psalm chapter 144 verse 14. Our oxen are well loaded, alufenu mesubalim. There is no bridge, perhaps, and no going forth your set, and not outcry, Zewaha in our streets. Like the first one, it is connected with Rav Hizda. When the rabbis took leave from the school of Rav Hizda, others say, from the school of Rabbi Samuel bar Naaman, they said to him, Rav Hizda, our oxen are well loaded. Psalm chapter 144 verse 14. This means we are instructed, we are well loaded. Rav and Samuel others say, Rabbi Yohanan and Rabbi Eliezer give different explanations of this. One says, we are instructed ibid. This means we are instructed in Torah. We are well loaded ibid. This means we are well loaded with precepts. The other says we are instructed. This means we are instructed in Torah and precepts. We are well loaded. This means we are well loaded with chastisements. There is no breach ibid. This means may our company not be like that of David, from whom issued Ahitophel. And now going forth ibid. This means may our company not be like that of Saul, from whom issued Doeg the Edomite. And not cry ibid. This means may our company not be like that Elisha, from whom issued Gehazi. In our streets ibid. This means that we shall not have a son or a disciple who publicly spoils his food dish Makdia Tafsilo, like this the Nazarene Yesu Hanosri. Here, Jesus finds himself in the not particularly flattering company of Ahitophel, Doeg, and Gehazi. Why is it that they did, and what are they regarded as prime examples of bad company? First of all, the emphasis in the present context is on disciples and not on sons. The students leave the school of Rav Hizda as well loaded with Torah and precepts, and read a breach going forth and outcry in the streets, among them, meaning somewhat in the company who produce an unworthy student follower. The samples are taken from no closer companions than David, Saul, and Elisha. David produced Ahitophel, his unfaithful advisor, who advised David's son Absalom to rebel against his father by having intercourse with his concubines. 2 Samuel chapter 16 verse 20 and 23, and to kill David. 2 Samuel chapter 17 verse 2. When his counsel was rejected, he committed suicide. 2 Samuel chapter 17 verse 23. Doeg the Edomite was the overseer of the soul shepherds. 1 Samuel chapter 21 verse 8. And loyal to King Saul, he informed King Saul that the priest of Nob had supported David. 1 Samuel chapter 22 verse 9f. and killed the priest of Saul request 1 Samuel chapter 22 verse 18f. And finally, Gehazi was the servant of the prophet Elisha, whom Elisha cursed with leprosy, because he read 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 20 until 27. Jesus clearly does not originally belong to this list, because he breaks the pattern of the note of the preceding examples. May our companion not be like that of X, from which issued Y. His master is not mentioned because there was no appropriate candidate in the Bible. Instead, he is just introduced as a bad son or disciple with the same phrase as in B and Herzog. This makes it quite clear that the context in B, Berachot, is secondary. Such a conclusion based on the literary analysis of the story does not affect, however, the message of the version preserved in B, Berachot. At first glance, it simply uses the Jesus dictum within the context of a list of bad companions, all taken from the Hebrew Bible without adding substantial new information about Jesus. But this is only part of the evidence. Looking at it again and taking into consideration on the original context of the bad companions, it becomes clear that our version is in fact a very clear remodeling of a much earlier story. Our three bad companions are singled out, together with Balaam as the fourth and most prominent culprit. Already in the famous passage in the Mishnah of four commoners who have no portion in the world to come. The Mishnah, after having stated categorically that all Israel have a portion into the world to come. Sanhedrin chapter 10 verse 1. Nevertheless has the exceptions of those who have the portion in the world to come. One who maintains that resurrection is not intimate in the Torah, that the Torah is not revealed from heaven, that because this part is transmitted anonymously. One who reads external books, one who respects over a one transmitted by Rabbi Aqiva. One who pronounces the divine name according to its late text transmitted by Abba Saul. Three kings, Jeroboam, Ahab, Manasseh, four commoners, Balaam, Doeg, Ahithophel, Gehazi, again transmitted anonymously. From this Mishnah, it becomes clear that Doeg, Ahithophel, and Gehazi, and in addition Balaam, are listed together because they are the only four private individuals, in contrast to the three kings who are excluded from what is actually, as the Mishnah maintains, reserved from all of Israel. The anonymous author of the Mishnah does not give any justification for his or her verdict. We need to turn to the Bible to find out what is so peculiarly dreadful about them that they are excluded from the world to come. We have seen already what was the rabbi's concern with Doeg, Ahithophel, and Gehazi. Balaam, the fourth culprit, is portrayed in the Talmudic tradition as a pagan magician who nevertheless, when asked by the king of Moab to curse the Israelites, did just the opposite, another divine blessings, Numbers chapter 23, chapter 24. There is nothing whom with this, and hence the Talmud praises him as genuine prophet among the nations. On the other hand, he is regarded as utterly weak, because it was he who enticed Israel into the idolatry of Baal Peor, Numbers chapter 25, chapter 31, verse 16. That our text in Biberachot leaves Balaam out is a tacit response to a problem apparent already in the Mishnah. How is it that the Mishnah quotes Balaam, among those who have no portion in the world to come when discussing the fate of Israel? Balaam, after all, was pagan and not an Israelite. Whatever the four culprits in the Mishnah did, they are the only four commanders in history who are brought together in the horrible destiny of being categorically excluded from the world to come. Now, the very fact that our Talmudic text puts Jesus instead of Balaam in this company can only have the purpose of having him share the destiny of his companions, namely to have a portion in the world to come. This, however, is anything but an innocent statement. To be denied an afterlife is bad enough, but to deprive Jesus of all persons an afterlife reveals quite a weak sense of humor. Did not his followers claim that he was resurrected from chapter 8 verse 34, and that the people of the new Israel would be saved only to him, Romans chapter 6 verse 3 until 11, by including Jesus among the very few of Israel who are categorically and on principle denied access to the world to come. The Talmud makes a very thoughtful and bold argument. It is difficult to imagine that such a statement is coincidental and not on the contrary a deliberate response to the New Testament's claims of Jesus' resurrection and his followers' participation in his destiny. Hence, what the Talmudic passage wants to convey in reality is the message that not only is excluded from the world to come, but that all of his followers in Christian church share this devastating value with him in transferring the dictum about Jesus publicly spoiling his food to the tradition of those who have no share in the world to come, and in replacing Balaam with Jesus, the Talmud considerably changes its meaning. The originally sexual connotation recedes into the background. Instead, if we take the Balaam connection seriously, the accusation of idolatry becomes prominent. Although, to be sure, the idolatry of Baal Peor, into which Balaam enticed Israel, is clearly sexual oriented. Jesus Balaam is now the paragon of an idolater who spoiled his food by enticing all of Israel into idolatry. He did it in our streets, that is, as the Talmud explains, publicly and unabashedly, just as Balaam did, his master and model.